Intermediate Algebra for Statistics, using factoring to solve polynomial equations. Lesson objectives: use the zero factor property to solve quadratic equations. Find the x-intercepts of a graph of a polynomial. Lesson objective: zero factor property. Let a and b be a real number. If a times b equals 0, then a equals 0 or b equals 0. In words, if the product of two numbers is 0, then at least one of the numbers must be 0. Solving quadratic equations in one variable. Example 1. Solve quantity x minus 5 times quantity x plus 2 equals 0. Solution. We have the original equation. This is a product. This binomial times this binomial equals 0. So from the zero product property, either this binomial is 0 or this binomial is 0. Next, we take each binomial, set it equal to 0, and solve. So here I'm going to add 5 to both sides of the equation, and here I'm going to subtract 2 to both sides of the equation. And we get the solutions x equals 5 or x equals negative 2. Now what does this mean? If you take 5 and substitute it in this equation, you will get a true statement. 0 will equal 0. Or you can take negative 2, stick it into this equation, and get a true statement. 0 equals 0. So let's check it. We'll begin with x equals 5. So we have 5 minus 5 times 5 plus 2. 5 minus 5 is 0, 5 plus 2 is 7, and 0 times 7 is 0. It checks. It's a true statement. For negative 2, we have negative 2 minus 5 times negative 2 plus 2. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0, so negative 7 times 0 is 0. It checks. So out of all possible numbers, there's only 2 that will make this equation true. 5 and negative 2. Example 2. Solve w squared minus 2w minus 8 equals 0. Our first step is to factor. So we want to know what two numbers multiply to give me negative 8 and at the same time add up to give me a negative 2. Now since c is a negative number, we know that the factors will have opposite signs. One will be positive and one will be negative. So the factors of 8 are 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. So negative 4 plus 2 gives me negative 2, and negative 4 times 2 gives me negative 8. The next step, use the zero product property. Either w plus 2 is 0 or w minus 4 is 0. So we set these binomials equal to 0 and we solve. Here I'm going to subtract 2 to both sides. We get w equals negative 2. For this equation I add 4 to both sides and I get w equals 4. To check, for w equals negative 2, we take negative 2, square it, minus 2 times negative 2 minus 8. Does this quantity equal 0? Well, negative 2 squared is 4. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4 minus 8. 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 minus 8 is 0. It checks. For w equals 4, we have 4 squared minus 2 times 4 minus 8. That becomes 16 minus 8 minus 8, which gives us 0. So 0 equals 0. It checks. Lesson objective. Example 3. Find the x-intercepts of the graph f of x equals x squared minus 7x plus 10. Now if you recall, to find the x-intercept, we let y be 0 and we solve for x. So f of x is 0 and then we're going to solve for x. So our first step is to factor this trinomial. In this case c is positive, b is negative, so both factors must be negative. So what two factors multiply to give me 10 and add up to give me a negative 7? Well, that's going to be negative 5 and negative 2. Negative 5 times negative 2 is 10, -5 plus -2 is a -7. Next, we take each binomial, we set it equal to 0, and we solve, and we get x equals 5 or x equals +2. We can verify this by using a graphing calculator. We type in the trinomial in y1 and we hit graph. We can use the trace feature or we can use the table feature, and we see that this is what we call a parabola. It has two x-intercepts. Connection between x-intercepts of a quadratic function. Property: let f be a function. If k is a real number solution of the equation f of x equals 0, then k, 0 is an x-intercept of the graph of the function f. Also, if k, 0 is an x-intercept of the graph of f, then k is a solution of the equation f of x equals 0. Example 4. Solve number 1, -4x squared minus 28x plus 32 equals 0, and number 2, x squared minus 10x plus 25 equals 0. Since a is not a positive 1, we need to factor out the greatest common multiple. Since 4 divides all three of these terms, we will factor out a -4, and recall this will change the sign of each term. So now we have -4 times the quantity x squared plus 7x minus 8. This equals 0. Next, we want to factor this trinomial. So we have x plus 8 times x minus 1 times -4. To get rid of the -4, we divide both sides by -4, which will cancel, and 0 divided by -4 is 0. So we have the equation x plus 8 times x minus 1. We set both these binomials equal to 0, and we solve, and we get x is equal to a -8 or x is equal to a +1. To verify our solution, we type in the trinomial into y1. We hit graph. We can see an x-intercept here and one here. Using the table, we see when x is 1, y is 0, and when x is a -8, y is 0. So the solutions have been verified. Number 2, a is equal to 1, so our next step is to factor. What two numbers multiply to give me 25 and add up to give me -10? That would be -5 and -5. So we take each of these binomials, set them equal to 0, and we see that x is equal to 5. We only have one solution in this case. To check it, we type in the trinomial in y1 and we hit graph. We can see this is only touching the x-axis once, so there's one x-intercept. And if we go to table, we see that when x is 5, y is 0. Solving more quadratic equations. Rule: the solution set of a quadratic equation in one variable may contain two real numbers, one real number, or no real numbers. And this is what the graph would look like. This one has two solutions, two x-intercepts. This one, just like our last example, 1, and there are problems where there's no real solution. Thanks for watching.